Hello Internet, I have made a Soldevi steam beast in the ruins of Soldev for Boiler Hobby Time art contest for January-February, which had a theme of ancient history. If you are unfamiliar with the storyline of Magic the Gathering, and if you're not doing wait, Magic the Gathering has a story, you might be thinking that Soldev is some important piece of lore, because why else would I be making a diorama about it? And if you are familiar with Magic the Gathering story, you're probably going, what the hell is Soldev, and I'm not making a diorama about some actually important piece of storyline or lore. But I wanted to invoke ancient history as many times as I could, so I picked a card from before I started playing Magic the Gathering, which automatically makes ancient history, with what little plot there is about Soldev. Her 1609 years prior to the current storyline, so it's ancient history in the lore. And for the stacking layers of ancient history, the artificers of Soldev dug up and reverse engineered ancient war machines from the Brothers' War nearly 3,000 years earlier, where the eponymous brothers dug up and reverse engineered Magitech from the Thrawn, a super advanced ancient civilization that fell 5,000 years earlier. The Thrawn Empire fell after a physician by the name of Yawgmoth found a portal to an artificial world filled with mechanical life and recently deceased corpse of its creator, an unnamed ancient dragon. Yawgmoth grew obsessed with what he saw as perfection in the mechanical life he found on this world and named it Phyrexia. He studied its life and began to modify it to his own ends and turn human and other animals into Phyrexians. Yawgmoth and his Phyrexians would become Magic the Gathering's earliest and longest running major villain, first showing up in the second expansion, and with new Phyrexia being the main villain of the storyline that ended on Magic the Gathering 30th anniversary. Yawgmoth undermining of the Thrawn Empire and creation of Phyrexia is told in the early Magic novel The Thrawn, which is quite well recommended. Ultimately, Yawgmoth and his Phyrexians were pushed back to the portal, and the portal was sealed with a power stone, and the Thrawn were so damaged that despite their victory, they still fell shortly after. A little over 5,000 years later, two brothers born to minor nobility by the names of Urza and Mishra are sent to study Thran artifacts in the desert, and the brothers managed to activate a Thran flying machine and use it to find the center of the ruins and Thrawn artifact, where they find a large machine with a large power stone in it, and in the process of removing it, they break it in two. Urza took the larger chunk, naming it the Might Stone, and Mishra took the smaller piece, naming it the Weak Stone. And this power stone was sealing the portal to Phyrexia. Dark dreams of Phyrexia drove the already strained relationship between the brothers to outright violence, where in their scuffle they accidentally killed their mentor. Ashamed by his actions, Mishra runs into the desert, where he is found by Laji Nomad. Urza, shameless, just goes back to their homeland, Argive. They don't meet again until they have grown into adult and have risen high into the ranks of their respective nation. Their childhood animosity comes to the surface, and fighting breaks out between them and their countries. This war quickly devolves into trench warfare with swords and mechs. Urza primarily bases his mech designs off Thrawn tech. Mishra primarily bases his mechs off of old Phyrexian dragon engines, with Phyrexian infiltrators openly among his ranks, providing expertise in their designs. This war becomes known as the Brothers' War, or the Antiquities War. After 43 years of brutal trench warfare, Urza and Mishra meet one last time on the battlefield. Mishra has fully fallen to Phyrexia at this point, merges with a Phyrexian dragon engine, and Urza pours blood, sweat, tears, and memories of the land into an ancient bowl. And the blast from Urza's salad bowl flattens the continent, throws the plain of Dominaria into a 3,000-year-long ice age, utterly destroys both armies, and causes Urza to ascend to nigh godhood. The Brothers' War is one of the most notable events in early Magic history. The second expansion, Antiquities, covers the war. A couple of years later, the set Urza's Saga covers the war. A full novel that came out at the same time as Urza's Saga goes into full detail of the war. There's a couple no longer canon comics going over the war. In 2022, they had a set covering the Brothers' War with a time traveler from the modern storyline coming back in time to find out how to activate Urza's salad bowl of mass destruction, because they're trying to destroy New Phyrexia to prevent it from invading the multiverse, and that goes poorly. I am not going into detail of all the stupid bowls of mass destruction and Magic the Gathering storyline. Around the end of the Ice Age caused by Urza's salad bowl, the artificers of Soldev dig up and reverse engineer relics of the Brothers' War, including several Phyrexian war beasts. A Soldevi man, unsubtly known as Relic Bane, feared the uses of machines due to the destruction caused by the Brothers' War, especially any Phyrexian designs, and Soldev grew to rely on their machinery. But 20 years after the end of the Ice Age, one of the Dominaria's many Phyrexian-influenced machine cults activate the War Beasts, which take over the Steam Beasts and the rest of Soldev's mechanized workforce and, well, go on a rampage and flatten the city. And that's the last any story ever really touched on it. Basically, a few mentions in one novel that considered well written, but isn't super well known even to the nerdiest of Magic lore nerds. But yeah, I had to write a script for this, and I hate it. Couldn't just freeform ramble my way through this history bit. And since I don't want to explain how I'm 3D modeling any of this stuff, I'm going to ramble on until it's done. And also, despite how sarcastic I have been about the storyline, there are genuinely good parts of Magic story. The Brothers' War novel and the Throne novel are very well regarded, even if hers is a piece of shit. All my homies hate Grandpa War Crimes. Web tied the Brothers' War set a couple years ago was really good. Recent story has been very good too. For extra ancient history, used the soundtrack from Age of Mythology, which, well, to give everybody else who played it as a kid, An Existential Crisis is an ancient game, and Age of Mythology is set in ancient history, and if we're going by Greek myths, the myths themselves were ancient history when they were written, so extra there too. Also, since I'm releasing this in April, and it's for the January-February art challenge, this video, ancient history of my internet term, and wasn't just lazy about editing this video. I'm over a month late on purpose, I swear. No other reason. And I guess I'll explain that I'm currently 3D modeling a tree so I can print it, because matching the art seemed easier by 3D printing than crafting out of sticks. I'm using a slab of XPS for the base and scrap strips of XPS to carve into bricks that I'm going to shake with a bunch of rocks to rough it up. I printed, primed, and the tree and steam beast sketched out where I was going to carve out the train with a knife. Now to beat it with a rock. For terrain paste I used Vallejo mud effects, and then I decided it was just easier to use light modeling paste. I placed the bricks in the terrain paste to make a little ruined foundation. Built it up by gluing some bricks on top of each other, gluing them together with more terrain paste, just because I had added too much to the base. I tore some of the bricks in half for more scattered ruins than broken bricks, just for additional details. Sprinkled dirt all over the terrain paste to make a nice dirt texture. Once the terrain paste dried, I painted a nice base layer of warm beige craft paint. I base coated the tree with nice brown craft paint. I painted the steam beast in a nice dark metallic craft paint. Painting the bricks a grayish beige. Putting a black wash on the steam beast and tree to bring out the fine details. Using a bit of Army Painter speed paint to darken the bottom and deeper panels of the steam beast. Adding a bit of depth of color to the bricks and dirt by dry brushing a light beige over both of them. Dry brushing the tree to add a bit of edge highlight to the texture. Adding a little black wash to the bricks to darken them up and make them stand out from the dirt. Made them a bit grayer than I wanted, but it still looks nice. Painting the little light at the bottom of the steam beast silver, and then sponging a bit of silver over the top for additional contrast, and then a bit of overbrushing for the same reason. The sponge might work out on a different model. Dry brushing some dirt color on the feet to make them nice and dusty. Pretty heavy light colored dry brush on the bricks to bring out the edge highlight. Adding some moss and lichen to the dirt just for some nice scrubland bushes. Then laying them down with a watered down blue in a spray bottle. Adding some dried out grass tufts to add variation to the scrubland bushes. Making a rust texture paint with baking soda and craft paint. Brushing the homemade rust texture paint all over the steam beast to make it all nice and rusty in places that look nice. painting some ultra black craft paint on the edges of the base to make a nice clean edge.